All right, well, it's 9 o'clock, so I think we'll get started. Ben, you ready to go?
All right, let's do it. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for spending time with us this morning. My name is Ben Nelson. I'm a current board member of Roundup River Ranch, and I'll be moderating the conversation around the new strategic plan for Roundup for the next 25 or 30 minutes. Before we get started, please, just a couple of house cleaning things. Please, we'll keep everybody on mute, but if you have any questions, if there's anything that pops up you'd like to discuss, please throw it in the chat, and that way we can address it at the end of the conversation and be respectful of everybody's time. And we'll also be sharing both the slides and the recording of this session for later reference. So if there's anything you missed or if somebody couldn't make it, we're happy to share that at the end of the conversation as well. So with me, I'm just going to go around my screen here to introduce Matt Teeters, Regional President, Alpine Bank, and the Roundup River Ranch Board Chair. Sarah Johnson, Roundup River Ranch President and CEO. And Mr. Adam Perez Sr, the Roundup Chief Mission Officer. So just to put some context around it, I'd love to kick it off with Matt. Please give us a little bit of history and context of how we arrived at this point and with this plan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ben. I'm really excited to be at this juncture and with everyone this morning unveiling our new strategic plan. The last time we worked on a strategic plan was 2018 to kick off in 2019. And as I think we all know, just a little bit of the world has changed since then. So we drafted a strategic plan in 2018 that specifically focused on how do we best utilize camp. And then in 2020, COVID happened, amongst a whole bunch of other things over the last 4 years. And so finally, I think we're today in front of everyone to unveil our new strategic plan and answer some really big strategic questions. A couple of things that changed. Our beloved longtime founder, Sarah Ruth Johnson, retired. And a little over a year and a half ago, we welcomed Sarah Johnson to camp, and she has done a phenomenal job over the last year and a half leading the camp and bringing us to this stage. A couple of the key tenets that we saw in our last strategic plan were excellence, sustainability, and growth. And we thought it was really important that we keep those tenets as a critical part of this new strategic plan, but really wanted to modernize it and adapt those tenets into the work that we're doing today. So I think our new strategic plan is going to touch on how do we ultimately speak to and incorporate excellence, sustainability, and growth into the new strategic plan. And to do so, I think I'll turn it over to Sarah, who will start with, we revamped a little bit of the mission statement to really speak to what we're doing today at camp.
Thanks, Matt. I'm going to share a slide just so you can see the language of our new mission statement. So we wanted to take the opportunity at this point just to say, do the words that we're using reflect who we are today? And we decided to make a couple of changes. I'll talk through them. You'll see them bolded on this screen. So we used to say serious illnesses as a way to describe who we serve, the children and families that we serve. And we've changed that to life-altering diagnoses. It seems to be more inclusive. It resonates better with our campers and our families who might not say, yeah, I'm not seriously ill. Certainly, I'm impacted by a life-altering diagnosis. So that seems to better reflect who we are and who we serve today. And then originally in our most current mission statement before this, we talked about discovering joy, friendships, and confidence as our hopeful outcomes to the work at Roundup River Ranch. We changed it ever so slightly, but really important to embrace joy, create connection, foster independence, and build hope. Embrace joy goes back to our roots, to why Paul Newman founded Serious Fun Camps, for an opportunity for kids to raise a little hell and to just enjoy the ordinary joys of childhood. First up, create connection. This is something we feel strongly about. Whether campers are meeting somebody else on their same medical journey and have connections that they can talk to, our volunteers who come to camp, our donors who support the work that we do, the connections that are built through Roundup are life-changing and just so very special. Next up is fostering independence. This really replaces the word confidence. We think it is inclusive of confidence and yet bigger. We hope that our campers, once they leave the Roundup, are independent. And for those of you who've seen Camper Jackson's video, there's a lot about independence. His parents talk about, it wasn't them, it was Roundup who taught him to clean a toilet. And Jackson, in his own words, talks about going from a young camper to a 17-year-old where he is leading camp. He is looked to by the little ones to say, how do you do camp best? How do you have the most fun? And really thinking about fostering independence as campers leave the Roundup. And as we say here at camp, go out from the Roundup and turn the world around. And finally, building hope. Hope being the sense that tomorrow can be brighter than today and that people have a role in making that happen. And we feel that camp is the best place to build hope, to create those pathways, to know that tomorrow can be a good day. And so those are the key changes that we've made in our mission statement, in talking to both our founder, Ruth, and Allison Knapp, founding board chair. They love it. Say that really understands and reflects who we are today. So that's what I have on mission statement. But I'll pass it back to you, Ben, to talk us through kind of the nuts of the 4 pillars of our plan.
Certainly. So yeah, this is where we kind of get into it a little bit. If you wouldn't mind sharing the pillar slide.
Yep.
So this plan has 4 pillars. And again, we'll send out this plan so you can review. I won't read all of these word for word, but you can see them on the screen here. The first is expand and enhance mission delivery. The second is enrich stakeholder experiences. And this one is all about the people, and we'll get into that in just a moment. The third is strengthen the financial health of the organizational excellence. Strengthen financial health and organizational excellence. And the last is something that really we've been working a lot on is engaging Denver. And I think a lot of what you've heard of from us in the past and a lot of discussions internally have really been expanding the engagement to Denver. So I know we've all had conversations about this internally. So I'd love to kind of throw it back to each of you to give your favorite piece or to talk about one of these pillars. So Matt, just based on my screen, I'll start with you. Which one's your favorite? Give us a little bit of info.
Yeah. So I think the 2 that really are critical to me, and I'll kind of tee up one for Adam will come next, but I think the first question, so 2018, we walked away from a strategic plan and we really said, we want the experience at camp to be the most important priority for everything we do at Roundup River Ranch. And then 18 months later, COVID happens and we can't have anybody at camp for 2 years. And so as really challenging and devastating as those 2 years were, it also created an opportunity for us to revision and set that we learned during those COVID years, where we started to figure out how do we ultimately connect with campers outside of the camp setting. And so for the last couple of years, we've been wrestling with this question on what do we do? How much resources and how committed should we be to ultimately serving campers away from camp? We have camp for a week every year, but then we have a kind of a question mark about what our touch points are with that camper throughout the year. So I think one of the major themes of this was how do we expand our outreach programming to really think about that camper experience and the difference we might be able to make in a camper's life throughout that course of a year. And then sort of have the key factor be that 1 week at camp where we really highlight everything that we've done. So I think that the strategic plan certainly brings that into clarity. And then I think the second aspect of that is we've had a presence in Denver since camp started in 2011, but we haven't really known how many resources to devote. How do we ultimately cultivate a donor base? How often should we be ultimately engaging and interacting with the camper families and with our hospital partners in Denver? So I think this strategic plan really gives us an opportunity to provide clarity and also commit some additional resources to the presence that we have in Denver. And with that, I'll turn it over to Adam to speak a little bit more about his role in doing that as our new Chief Mission Officer.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you everyone today. Thank you, Ben, for hosting us. Yeah, I think the bigger thing that I'm excited about is traveling our heart work that we do in Gypsum and bringing it to Denver, right? We're not losing that heart work that we do. And by that is currently we have a big team in Denver, bigger than what it's been before. We have a total of 8 folks in Denver that are working out in that way. Beyond that team and us getting together and connecting and meeting and such, we're looking at it through our Seacrest program, adding more than 1 or 2, 3 days in that week so that we can serve our families, our children on a higher level. With that Denver outreach and being in Denver, allowing us to create more opportunities via program, whether that's community events, a day at the zoo, things like that will allow us to keep that thread of connection from camp in Gypsum to what we do in Denver. Beyond that, we're going to continue to do those traditional things that we normally do within outreach, For many, many moons, we did box building at camp. We're going to continue to do that, and that's going to be a volunteer opportunity within Denver. But also, there's a lot of volunteer opportunities within our online programming, which we will be continuing to do, adding new programs, adding new initiatives within that online programming. But beyond that, being able to connect the dots with what we're doing with at camp and what we're doing at our outreach program within Denver. The goal is to create more volunteer opportunities for our folks in Denver. We have a slew of people who want to support us in Denver, and we need them, and we really want them. So continuing this hard work is allowing us to create more opportunities on the Denver side for that outreach, whether it's a community event, whether it's a day at the park, or whether we're going on a travel program for a day to show families a different side of Denver. We want to continue that outreach program in abundance, but to be complementary to our camp program.
Right on. Sarah, do you have anything you'd like to add?
First, so there's a few pieces. I could talk all day, but I know we don't have that kind of time. But under pillar 1, enhance and expand our mission, there is room for us at this point in time to consider new diagnoses. Who else can we serve? What other campers can safely come to us here at camp? So we're 18 years old, believe it or not, as an organization. We'll hit our 20th anniversary during the strategic plan. And we've been doing this for quite a while. We've been serving campers here. We have amazing medical partners. We have an amazing facility. So who else can we serve? Can we serve campers with higher acuity than what we've done in the past? So that's a piece that we're super excited about, engaging our medical advisory committee in that work. Second piece sort of on that is within that consideration is youth mental health. And this is a piece that I'm incredibly passionate about. We know that upwards of 80% of our campers who currently come to us have a secondary diagnosis in the behavioral health realm. So anxiety, depression, something secondary to what we call their qualifying diagnosis to arrive at camp. So how can we serve those kiddos better? We do a great job today. There's always room for improvement. So how can lens? And then secondary to that is, what could it look like to have behavioral health as the qualifying diagnosis? There are camps within our Serious Fun Children's Network who are exploring that, who have mental health week during the summer, who have family weekends with a focus on behavioral health. And we know here in Eagle County, where camp it's a crisis. It's a crisis throughout the state of Colorado, and certainly beyond that. So working with partners, working with behavioral health providers to say, we have this amazing camp, we have this amazing campsite, we have an amazing staff who get serving kids, who get having some serious fun. And what could that partnership look like? So I'm really excited about that as a team. We're incredibly about that piece, and inviting kids with behavioral health diagnoses to think about what it means to live our mission of embracing joy, creating connections, fostering independence, and building hope within their community, within their family. So that's a piece I'm super excited about. I'll skip right to young adult programming. Again, I said we're a maturing camp, and so what does a young adult program look like? How is the experience differentiated for our campers from when they arrive when they're 7 to when they head out from the Roundup at 17? Does that mean the 15 to 17-year-old campers have sort of a leadership training track at camp? We are in the phase of operationalizing this plan, so figuring out exactly what those details look like, but we're ready to engage our older campers in a different way, and we're pretty excited about that. And then I'll wrap it up with what's actually physically happening at camp and what changes we'll likely plan to see over the next couple of years. One is building new cabins. Matt, in a little bit, will talk about our campaign. It's a $27 million campaign. It's big. 9.6 of that is focused on growth and capital improvements here at camp. So if all goes well with fundraising, we'll put some shovels in the ground this fall for 3 new cabins, bringing that to a total of 9. And other programmatic enhancements as well. So challenge course. We've got some plans to expand the challenge course to allow more campers to be on it at once. Maybe a low ropes course. There's some other exciting things. There's some putt-putt golf being talked about. We also are a multi-use pavilion. So something that provides shade. This place is gorgeous out here and super, super sunny. So what would a large pavilion look like that can house activities, that can provide some needed shade for our campers? As we have more campers come here with more cabins, we need more programmatic spaces to serve them. And then lastly, sort of on what's happening out here is, how else could we use our campsite? Potentially opportunities like corporate retreats, engaging with our corporate partners in a deeper, more meaningful way. This place is amazing and it sits empty a lot. And so how can we change that? And how can we shift that to potentially having some revenue generating opportunities that then will support the overall mission of the organization? So again, I could go on, but I'll stop talking and hand it back over.
Yeah,
see where we go from here.
There's so much. and again, please, we encourage everybody, take a look at the plan. Like, we'll share it. But I don't want to go too far without actually going back to pillar 2, because I think that is a really big one for us. And that's enrich the stakeholder experiences. That focuses on the people powering Roundup River Ranch. We understand how important it is, obviously, for the campers, but we can't do this without some pretty incredible people supporting us and actually at camp and all the things that go on year round. So, Adam, I know this is a dear to your heart, man. Do you mind going through that a little bit and just kind of explaining that pillar 2 a little bit and some of the ambitious thought behind that?
Absolutely. Thank you for sending it back to me on that one. As I mentioned earlier, we have a good sized team in Denver, and the strategic plan of like outreach in Denver and putting more focus, energy, and time to it makes so much sense for many reasons. Obviously, 9 months of the year, our campers are back in Denver. We have a lot of our stakeholders who live in that area as well. But beyond that, we are trying to build a volunteer pool in that space to kind of keep those connections going. I think a big part of that too, as we expand, and I didn't say this earlier, so thank you, Sarah, for pointing out a couple things to remind me. I think as we're looking at our outreach space and identifying an outpost and all those great things, an outpost is space that allows us to run our program, but also a space that allows us to offer wraparound services. And I think those wraparound services are big key for our stakeholders to be supportive with, our partnerships to be supportive with, because a lot of those wraparound services are connected through our resources that we have, partners, things like that. Beyond that, we also wanted to look at how do we elevate someone who is a young camp professional and who wants to really understand what camp is about, and what better than a place than Roundup River Ranch to do that at and learn from some great professionals who are there. So we implemented a program called Camp Fellowship Program. And with that program, it's a 2-year program. And in those 2 years, we identified someone to come and just learn all levels of camp, but particularly supporting the outreach program in Denver with our new outreach director, Khalil Kelly. And with that, beyond just kind of the outreach space, we also wanted to look at our program quality assessment, looking at what kind of program we're offering and really like assessing it just through our own lens. So a lot of this position is going to work with the camp people, the camp team, to work on program quality assessment. But as we're building our program in Denver and creating an identity in Denver and doing all that amazing hard work in Denver, we're also going to flow that program quality assessment within our programs in that space too. So we're identifying both ends and using both of our programs to complement one another, but more importantly, using these 2 programs to bridge our partnerships, our resources, connecting our stakeholders to some of the things that we're doing in the space. But bigger than that, continuing the hard work. You're gonna hear me say that throughout this whole time, because I believe we specialize in that in many ways. And as we look at our outreach program, what I want people to get excited about is that, as Matt mentioned, we haven't had that identity in that space. Now we're saying, hey, we want that identity. We want to create a space that can be an escapism for our families, a space where it's a safe space to come, whether they need programming, whether they need a bag of groceries from our Paul Newman's pantry closet, whatever it may be, we're going to be there in that space to identify, but also to offer. The big thing here is upgrading our offering within that space. So yes, pillar 2 makes me so excited, Ben. So I apologize for going on, but I really want people to understand the importance of what the work we do at camp and the work that connects in Denver for us as well, so that we're doing a full circle of offering.
100%. It's all a part of the growth and part of the continuing conversation, how we get better every single day for people, right? So with that, we have to recognize, and I'm sure people listening to this, that this is an incredibly ambitious plan. We're not unaware of that. We understand that this is going to take a lot of work, and we understand that it has a lot of people power that has to go into it, but also financial as well. So Matt, I know you always get nominated as the banker to talk about budget, man. So I'm going to throw you under the bus again, but please, if you wouldn't mind, just let us know how are we set up as an organization to really walk these steps down the line for the next couple of years.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I've spoken a little bit about the challenges that we've encountered over the last 5 years since we last drafted our last strategic plan. Now's my opportunity to celebrate one of the major wins. So I think in 2018, we saw the camp at a point where we were coming out of that startup phase and moving into a maturing phase. And part of that maturation came with the introduction of a comprehensive $27 million capital campaign, where we really looked to say, we realized we were at a point where we needed to formalize a strategy and begin to implement a planned giving initiative. And so over the last 4 years or so, we've done that. We've also, ultimately, we realized we needed to bolster our reserves, our operating reserves, and have kind of phase two. At some point, we've got a facility that was built in between 2009 and 2011, and we have to make sure that we're doing our part to keep that facility in phenomenal shape, which we've done. And then I think the third part is that we've really wanted to position the organization for growth, which Sarah spoke a little bit about some of the upcoming capital aspects for the camp. So I'm thrilled to announce that after 4 years of incredible work by our team, that we're coming into the completion of that capital campaign. We just recently had a significant donation from the Schlesman Foundation of $1.5 million. So we're within $2 million of completing that overall capital campaign, which is a phenomenal accomplishment, and really proud of all the work that has gone into achieving that. That in mind, I think that, and it's a really good thing that we've done that, because we're also at a point where the last 4 years have really stressed the cost of living in the communities that we serve, both the Vail Valley and Denver. And we've seen an inflationary environment where everything has become more expensive. So we're an organization that now has an operating budget that's in excess of $6 million. Every year we wake up and say, how do we go out and raise that? And how do we ensure that we're providing an excellent camp service to the families that we ultimately serve? So I think that we've positioned the organization in a really good place to carry it forward indefinitely. And I think we've got a mission that we've sort of adapted the strategic plan to say, how do we ensure that we're ultimately being good stewards of the money that is raised, and the families that trust us with their families, and really carry this forward indefinitely for years to come.
Awesome. Well, we have a few minutes remaining here, so we want to be respectful of everybody's time. There's a couple of questions that I've seen in the chat, so I'd like to address those to start with. One from Elliot Davis says, what would your expansion into better facilitating secondary diagnoses look like for the camper facing staff? Examples of additional training or upskilling, hiring staff in those specific fields. So Sarah, I'll throw that one to you if you wouldn't mind addressing that one to start.
Sure, would love to take it. It's a great question, and one that, as we partner with oncologists when we serve our campers with cancer, and cardiologists when we serve our heart kids, we will partner with specialists. So we have right now an open position for a year-round full-time behavioral health manager. The last several years, we've hired seasonal behavioral health staff with specialty in that area. And we've gotten to the point and the ability and the focus to bring a person on full-time year-round to help shape those programs, train staff in a more in-depth way than we ever have before. So some will do it internally, and then also with our partners externally. We have a meeting yet this month with 3 or 4 different providers here in the Vail Valley that focus on behavioral health, just to say, what could this look like? What does this partnership have in are very much recognizing that we don't always hire the specialists in the field, but we bring them in to partner with us to serve campers as best we can. We're also looking at the depot, our medical depot, which is our medical facility, to say, can we take a room or two and really focus on behavioral health needs in that room. Some camps call it their Zen den. There's a lot of different names for campers who need to step away from program and really focus on whatever is going on with them. Creating spaces here at camp that can better serve those needs is on the radar as well.
Great. Well, there's actually one question that I asked you, and something that when I came in as a board member that I'd love to expand on a little bit as well. So you mentioned the $27 million campaign and that's ending. Is there another campaign or a fundraising endeavor or fundraising needs during the time that's covered by this plan? Like, is it just we're done, or like what are the next steps for fundraising for us?
Hopefully you know me better than that. We're never done. No organization is ever done. One is, yes, this campaign has been a huge success. It does not erase the need for annual fundraising that we have every year. Our endowment is growing, so we're not starting from zero every year. But we do anticipate in the years to come that they will be probably mini campaigns. I mentioned earlier the pavilion. So if we reach the end of this campaign, it turns out things cost more than they did when we started this. But a successful completion won't cover, $1 million+ pavilion that we truly need. So we'll see many projects certainly over the coming years. I don't think you'll see something this large contemplated, the scale of a $27 million campaign. We're super grateful for the success that we've had so far there. So yes, and not finished ever. We always want to do more and enhance our mission and serve our campers in ways that we don't even know what that looks like today. So I won't say we're finished.
I don't think we are, especially with a plan this ambitious, right? Like, we need to recognize that we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We're building the best roadmap for us as we possibly can. So it's always going to need more help. It's always going to need more funds. And as we do that, we want to apply that and grow that really well. So again, one more time, if there's anybody, we have a few minutes left. If there's anybody that has any questions, please put them in the Q&A section. So it looks like we got one that just popped up. Let me pull that here. It says, can we grow our activities ahead of our cabin development? And Sarah, I'll let you start with that one, but
sure. So in the ground, and thank you, Dr. Cohen, for the question. If we put the shovel in the ground in the fall, which is, as quickly as we think we will, those cabins won't be ready until summer of 2026. And we will be moving on programmatic enhancements prior to that. So looking at the challenge course enhancements happening as soon as this fall. I think the camp team has some things up their sleeve that might look new and different for campers. So I think it's a parallel track. Certainly the cabins will be being built alongside programmatic enhancements so that we're freshening it up all the time, enhancing our campsite all the time. So yes, Dr. Cohen.
I think we have time for just maybe one or two more. And I want to piggyback that a little bit, right? So the camp expansion is important, but I think housing, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't address that, especially with current climate, everything is going on. Housing costs are a challenge in the Valley, correct? Like, how are we addressing that? And I think that's something that we've all discussed internally, but it's probably prudent to have that conversation now. So how is Roundup handling the challenge of cost of living for employees in the Valley?
I'll take that one again, I suppose. Sorry,
I'm just throwing them right at you.
Perfect. A couple of years ago, we did a comprehensive salary study and did increase salaries for folks, which led to a significant increase in our budget. But, it's expensive, to be able to live here. So one, looking at salaries and trying to be as competitive as we can. And two, Adam touched on it earlier, is who can live in Denver? Are there positions that in Denver? That's where the action is happening, 8 to 9 months of the year, and then having those folks come up and have a presence at camp so we never lose that connection. So looking at that as an option is a strategic focus for us. Not to say that Denver is cheap, but there's more options there for cost of living. So I don't think it's an answer. Well, I know it's not an answer that organizationally we can solve. I'm so grateful for leaders in the Vail Valley that are looking at this as well.
Awesome. Well, with that, we're at again, as a reminder, we'll make these available, make the recording available, make the slides available. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. And in addition to that, please know that we will be sending out progress reports towards the plan initiatives, and those will live on the website, and likely a biannual basis. We'll send out some updates for that as well. So take the screenshot if you have that, or reach out to us via email. Reach out to Sarah. She's been incredible for all of us to be available and answering all of my questions personally. So reach out. But thank you all for spending your time with us. Thank you all for your passion and your energy that goes into this. It was an honor for me to be able to moderate. But you want to send us out with anything, Adam, Matt, Sarah?
Well, yeah, I think I'll take it and close. I guess maybe in final words, I think that a really critical part of a strategic plan is that you're able to simplify down. And so when I look at that, it's the what, the how, and the who. And if you're talking about the what, it's the new mission statement where we've just tried to clarify that, but it's embrace joy, create connection, foster independence, and build hope. And when you talk about the how, it's ultimately the 4 pillars, but it's expand and enhance mission delivery. It's enrich stakeholder experience, strengthen financial health, and then the Denver engagement. And the who, so on behalf of the Roundup River Ranch board today, I am so thankful to be involved with a great organization, a great staff. Really want to thank all of our constituents that ultimately helped to develop this plan, and ultimately the opportunity to serve the families that we're able to serve. So on behalf of the board, thank you to everybody that provided this, and we really look forward to getting the work done.
All right. With that, we'll close it out. We'll see you all soon. Take care.